Okay, so the first competitor in the final of the Tea Brewers Cup is Ruth from Bean and Butt.
Hi, my name's Ruth. I own and run a specialty green tea shop in Cardiff called Bean and Bud. When I'm not in the shop, which is most of the time, my hobby is Kung Fu. And quite a few years ago, I was lucky enough to spend 3 weeks in the tea growing province of Fujian in China, studying with Kung Fu masters. So although the trip was nothing to do with tea, we had one day off and we were taken to the regional city of Fujian. And there, instead of going off and buying dodgy DVDs and martial arts weapons with everyone else, I went to the tea house, experienced Chinese tea ceremony, tasted my first oolong tea, and pretty much fell in love with it there and then. Bought some to take home. And about 5 years after that, when we decided to open our own tea coffee shop, we wanted to place a real emphasis on quality tea as well as coffee, and to really recreate that discovery of great tea that I had to other people and to our customers, to bring them a really new experience. So there's a Chinese proverb that says, one lifetime is not enough to learn the names of all the teas in China, and it was quite difficult to choose 2 teas to brew for you today. So what I decided to do was to go back to that trip, back to basics, back to what I love. And so today I'm going to brew 2 teas for you, both from Fujian province, both oolongs, but both quite different from each other. As ceremony is quite big in the culture of tea in China, in our shop we try and present our tea in a kind of ceremony itself. So you get a little tray, you get the TA, you get the carafe, you get the timer. And customers really love that we make a little bit of a treat of that, a little bit of ceremony. And so today I'm going to do as much as I can in the way we present our teas to our customers, to show that we always pay this attention to detail and we try and have this quality. So I'm going to brew both the teas together and then we'll taste them together. The first tea I tasted all those years ago in Fujian was tea guanyin, sometimes called Iron Goddess of Mercy, sometimes called Iron Buddha, although technically that's not correct. Guanyin is a bodhisattva, not a Buddha, but we'll let that go. And I fell in love with that tea, and although it's probably the most well-known and most popular of oolongs, I still think it's really good tea. It's still my favourite. So I'm brewing a high-grade tea guanyin for you today. The other tea that I'm going to brew is a Wu oolong. It's a dark oolong. It's called cassia or Wu. The name cassia means cinnamon, and the name comes from the fragrance of the dry leaf. So while I start to brew both of these teas, I've given you a little jar each of these tea, the dry leaf. So if you could maybe unscrew your lids of your jars now, really start to smell those, the dry leaf of the tea. I'm going to make a distinction in this talk between fragrance, which I'm going to use to describe dry leaf, and the sensation of sort of smelling straight away without taste directly through the nose, and aroma, which I'm going to use to describe root liquor, and also the kind of aromas that go kind of sort of retro-nasally when you taste. So if you can sort of be tasting, really enjoying those leaves as I start to set off. So today I'm using 4 grams of, I'm brewing both teas the same, which sounds funny because they're different, but in practice this is what is good. So I'm brewing 4 grams of each tea. I'm using around 300 mils of water, and I'm going to brew them for around 3.5 minutes. I'm then going to decant them into the carafes, partly to stop the infusion and also so that they'll be a nice temperature for tasting. So you can smell from the dry leaf of the tea guanyin, you'll see that quite the green end of the oolong spectrum. If we think of oolong tea as semi-oxidised, so at the green end of the spectrum we've got the sort of 20 to 30% oxidised, we've got very green flavours, floral, fruit notes, and then at the darker end, the sort of 40 to 70% oxidised, we get much more woody notes, more kind of notes, sort of pine, spice, and some ripe fruits as well. So hopefully you've managed to get those notes from the dry leaves already. As soon as the water hits these leaves, you start to get that real burst of aroma. So as well as the oxidation typical of oolongs, they're usually thought to be of the most balanced of teas. So between green teas, where oxidation is prevented by heating, and black teas which are 100% oxidised, oolongs sort of semi-oxidised, very balanced, very complex, lots of different flavours. Also, with all teas contain amino acids that help with relaxation. Oolongs particularly have a really kind of, I think, almost an euphoric effect, and this is due to the concentration of aromatic oils that's released during the rolling and twisting processes of the leaves that are also typical of oolongs. You know, quite often in the shop when I'm feeling quite stressed, I'll make myself a pot of tea guanyin, and yeah, as soon as you taste it, you get that real kind of relaxation. So when I'm going to decant the teas for you in a moment, and then I'm going to decant them into these carafes. If you can, first of all, kind of swirl them, get your nose in, really kind of smell those brewed aromas, and then we'll start to taste the teas. So this is the tea guanyin. You see the lovely bright green colour, and as it's cooling, if you can swirl it in a carafe, start to smell the brewed liquor aroma. With tea guanyin, I find you get lovely kind of floral bouquet notes like honeysuckle, lily of the valley. On the nose especially, it's really all the florals. And when we come to taste, there'll be other flavours coming out, but on the nose, I always think it's very, very floral. Lovely kind of, yeah, honeysuckle notes, very smooth. I'm just decanting the Ruth now. You see a much more amber liquor. cascade, if you can swirl. Just really start to smell those aromas. And on the nose with Roubaix in the brewed liquor aromas, I always think you get kind of quite woody notes, maybe a hint of pine, sort of spice, the cinnamon that its name comes from. Very complex, and even slight hint of like dark chocolate, like when you get really kind of 90% chocolate or something like that, you really get those notes. So now if you could decant the tea guanyin into a green cup and taste that, hopefully it's cooled to a tasteable temperature.
Where are you? Why did we not open it and we don't see anything?
Usually what I get when I first taste tea guanyin is almost immediately a really creamy, thick mouthfeel. And then all the notes, all the honeys, honeydew melon, honeysuckle, really creamy, and very slight sort of savoury finish, very slight at the end. But I always think the mouthfeel of it is kind of really one of the things that makes it my favourite tea. It kind of really makes you feel relaxed when you drink the tea. And then hopefully when you're ready, the Roubaix will now be at a temperature for tasting. So maybe have a sip of water and taste that one. And pour that into the red cup. So there are lots of brewery oolongs, and they all have these typical sort of woody, smoky notes. With the cassia, I particularly chose it because it's really, really complex, and as well as the notes of kind of wood, smoke. When we were tasting these between us in sort of practice, all our baristas were coming up with tasting notes like pineapple, kind of sweet stickiness, freshly scraped vanilla pods. If you smell the empty carafe, actually, you can the aromatic oils have really left a coating of chocolate aroma still in the carafe, and that's total like chocolate aroma, really crazy, very, very complex tea. So kind of very ripe fruits as well as those more typical, slightly astringent woody notes. Kind of like cozying up with a bar of chocolate in front of the fire. So, as I say, in the shop we really like to present the tea as a little ceremony, as a little time out for people to really enjoy. And we really like to have a dialogue with the people in the shop about what tea they might like according to their preference. They can work their way through our menu. Even if they just want a cup of our house blend, it's absolutely fine as long as they're drinking really, really good tea. And it's really nice to take that bit of time out of their day. So hopefully today I've given you a little flavour of our shop, of how we present the tea, of our passion about tea. And as I said, tea in China plays a big role in culture, history, literature, and also martial arts as well. There's another proverb that says, the true warrior, like tea, shows his strength in hot water. And hopefully that's what I've done today. Thank you.